Welcome to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are. Kill, guess what?
What's up?
It's Tuesday night.
Yes, it is.
And, sometimes you got to talk about things, whether they be good or bad. And either way, you might think, or someone on this planet may think, that it's damn near perfect. So that's what we're doing tonight, brother.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So for you guys that are here, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. It's been a while since we've been on a Tuesday night, so it's great to see you guys in here. Just to give a blanket hello, we've got Richard in the house. Excited to talk horror. That's what I'm talking about. Awesome. Thank you for being here, man. Paula is in the house saying hi. What's up, Paula? Hey. Russell, my man Russell, hit 1 year, baby. 1 year channel member anniversary. Thank you so much, Russell. We love you. Much appreciate all the positivity. Saying Halloween was my first horror movie. Let's smash the like button if you haven't already. Happy to be here. Hi, Night, Coriander, Killian, and Eric. Much love, obviously, to Coriander and Eric. They're not here tonight, but we'll be back together at some point. All right. We got Richie's in the house. All right. Halloween's my favorite. Love both of these franchises. Very cool. Very cool. Scott, what's up, bro? Hope you're doing well, man. And hope you guys all had a good Labor Day weekend. Ours was crazy. Traveling, in some cases, across the country. If you know, you know. But it was fun. We had some fun. And I got to see one of my favorite men of all time, my brother. And it was cool.
Yes, it was.
All right. Kelly, what's up, Kelly? Good to have you here. All right. Waffles is here. What's up, man? Good to have you here. Good to have you here. Gene is here, of course. Gene does not play around. And the general, what's up, Val? And of course, shout out to Val. Happy birthday again. Last week on Wednesday, the general had a birthday. So everybody in the chat, make sure that you send some love and happy B-Day wishes to our very own General Val. All right. JPEG. All right. Oliver is in the house. What's up, Oliver? Good to see you, brother. Kay's in the house. All right. We got Melissa too. All right. We're ready to rock and roll. Before we get going, Kill, Kelly also has a channel member anniversary, and she's at the big 3 months, rocking and rolling, 90 days in, and it's only going up from here. Love this community. So thankful to be the Night Watch. 90. Hey, that almost sounded like that TV show on A&E. But no, it's for being here. We appreciate you. All right. So, guys, tonight what we wanted to do, and of course, we want you guys to have some input on this too. Me and my brother, we were talking about movies as we always do, as we always have since we were little kids. And we were talking about movies that we thought to ourselves, man, this movie is pretty much like, where are the flaws in them? Can we find the flaws together? Also with you guys. And so we decided to pick 2 movies out of the air, and both of us totally agree with them. Let's start with Halloween 78, Kill. Okay. First of all, let's just start with a broad overview of your thoughts of Halloween 78 while I kick on the cool ass music for us.
Well, I mean, for me, it's a masterpiece. It's a holiday movie. One of my favorite holidays, Halloween. I watch it every year. Great acting, great protagonist, great antagonist, supreme music, atmosphere. And it gave so much to the slasher genre, to horror, and it also gave us the greatest hype man of all time, Donald Pleasance, rest in peace.
Yeah.
Dr. Loomis. And I don't know, man. It's like when we sit back and we talk about movies that are damn near perfect, it's hard to find the flaws, and me, I'm a stickler. Like, no movie is perfect. There's always room for improvement.
Right.
Man, that's why I'm so happy we're doing this type of show, because maybe you, me, and also the chat, maybe we can really brainstorm and figure out how Halloween 78 could be perfect. Where are the flaws? I don't know. Help me out.
Yeah, he's gonna help me out. Yeah, definitely for you guys in the chat. Let us know what you think about that. When you think about Halloween 78, what are the flaws? Because we do have some things that people have said. I'm not necessarily saying whether we agree with those things or not yet, but there are some people that do have some issues with Halloween 78. I mean, and we've really been lucky to be able to talk about it in the way that we have, because that's also garnered a lot of great conversation. You know what I mean? I mean, there are some people that definitely uh, like it or love it. I mean, it's one of their favorites of all time. For me, it sure is. Um, but then you have some folks that might be more in the middle, and they'll say, "Well, I respect it, but I don't love it." You know what I mean? Or people that say, "Well, it's a little overhyped." And then you have the rare, and it has happened, guys. I'm not gonna lie, there's no lying here. There have been some people that have literally either said directly to me or in the comment sections of some of our Halloween content have said it's not great. They don't like it. You know what I'm saying? Hard to imagine that, though, isn't it, Kill?
That's insane. That's blasphemy. That's anti-American. I
What
don't
do you
know, man. You don't like puppies or kittens. You don't like dessert. Like, I don't know what's going on with that.
Yeah. Have you ever had anyone to say that?
I personally, luckily, have not.
Really? Never.
No.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I mean, look, I'm not trying to say it's something that I've heard a lot, but I've definitely heard it before, and I think especially for tonight, I want to get a chance to get, a sense of things from our perspective, also from the audience perspective, about the ins and outs of the film and why or why not, it should be labeled as one of the greatest. I mean, when you look at lists of the best horror movies of all time, you always see Halloween on that list. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It may not
definitely.
be at number one, but it is usually in the top five of lists that I've seen online.
Oh yeah.
And there's a reason for that. There's a reason for that, in my opinion. Um, Kill, what's your earliest memory of watching Halloween, and what was it like for you?
Wow. It's funny. I remember watching I believe the television edit,
Okay. Yeah.
as like my earliest one. And just I don't know, just being so on edge,
Hmm.
so afraid for Jamie Lee, so just kind of startled by the subtle body language things that Michael
Yeah.
does in this movie, sitting up and turning the head, looking at her, bashing through the closet. That
Yeah.
creepy shit right there, just
Right?
lingering like that, like just lingering in darkness, like it's just so poetic,
Yeah.
and it's just so eerie and atmospheric and creepy, and it just kind of, I don't know, it's like another character in regards to, yes, there's Michael, but then there's Michael's mannerisms, the
Yeah.
way he walks, the way he stalks her and her friends, the way he hides behind a bush. He's just like, the way he's looking up into your bedroom from outside,
Hmm.
the way this man is just walking the streets on Halloween night, and just, the fastest slow walker on planet Earth
Of all time.
of all time. I don't know. It's just it's so much good
Yeah.
that was put into this first performance of
Yeah.
Michael, that set the blueprint and the groundwork for all the great men that would follow.
Yeah. No doubt. No doubt. Paula's got an interesting comment. She said the only issue she had was who taught Michael how to drive? Why was he obsessed with Lori? And why follow Tommy? Now let me throw a quick answer, then I'll throw it to you, Kill, to kind of get more in depth. Um, as far as teaching Mike how Michael learned how to drive, it's always been kind of thought that he just kind of picked it up over the years of being there. You know, the one thing that we don't have, unless we're talking about the Rob Zombie film, we don't have a real sense of all the things that went on in all those years that he was locked up. And even with Rob Zombie's Halloween, we don't have all the pieces of the puzzle. You know, we got more, a hell of a lot more, no doubt. Whether or not that was good or bad, that might be another episode. But I think that's what happened with the driving situation. Kill, why do you think he was obsessed with Lori, and why follow Tommy? Any thoughts about that?
You know, maybe it's just something about the way she looked. Maybe it was just something that was familiar, or just some sort of animalistic need to, you know, end her. You know, maybe it's because she, you know, came to the Myers house to drop off you know, that
keys.
paperwork, the keys, you know, or it could have just been, you know, just dumb crazy luck. You know, why does crazy you know? So I don't know. And I guess for me, and granted, you know, I get the question, Paula. I never really ask that, you know, because sometimes I feel like as the audience, we sometimes want it both ways. We want the mystery. That's why some people like 78. But then when Rob Zombie explains so much to us, we get white horse. And then we're like, oh, he's giving us too much. I don't read. There you go.
There he is.
You know, and then half the audience is like, oh, I don't want to see all this. I don't need to see Sherry Moon Zombie and little, you know, kid Michael meeting in the mental hospital and this and that. So I don't know. But, you know, look, he's Michael Myers. He learned to drive from watching TV in the Institute, you know, watching, you know, I don't know, Chips or whatever. I don't know what he was watching. Hawaii Five-0.
He didn't do this though.
Get out of here, Nick Cage. Get out of here.
Long Legs 2. The Return.
No. That's for another episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, hey, or maybe he just had a crush on Laurie Strode. I don't know.
Well, I think that, you know, you made some good points, and I've heard different theories, and I have my own, some of which I've talked about in various videos. But, you know, she did come to the house, and she was really the first, you know, person that he really saw, you know, right there. And you know how he locks in on people like a shark. He's a killer shark in baggy ass overalls. You know what I mean? So I think that when he saw her, he just locked in. Plus, in my opinion, I think that there was some type of link to Judith. You know what I'm saying? I think that there might have been some type of vibe where he kind of felt that same connection for whatever reason, maybe reminding him of Judith. But for sure, once she walked on the street or walked down the sidewalk, I wish I had you all alone. And to me, I think that's what sealed it. That was the contract, Kill. To me, that was the contract. And I think that from that point on, he was on task. And, you know, not to go into a lot of different places, but we will, folks. Let me just say this tonight. We're going to go all over the place, so just hang in there. But I think one thing that was really smart about 2018 is I think that David Gordon Green, James, and crew were able to tap into that a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like, they showed him in that one shot, literally finding the target, and he's fixed on it. And that only because he was walking down the street with 80,000 people. It could have been Thanksgiving dinner for him, but he was on a target, a certain task. And even in the beginning of the film, standing outside, all types of hell breaking loose with people yelling and all of this type of stuff. And then when the mask came out, like Loomis said, it was like a silent alarm that got triggered. You know what I mean? And to me, that's a lot of what makes him so cool, you know? So anyways, great comment, Paula. Thank you so much for that. We appreciate it. Val saying the cast was very believable and relatable. I agree with that as well. They felt like people that you knew. And, you know, again, guys, all of us as Halloween fans, we all know a lot of this, but there are some people that don't. I mean, they were literally ham and egging it. You know, they were wearing clothes that they had. They were riding trucks, picking up the leaves, bringing them to different locations. They were all together, eating lunches together, like on the sidewalk, all these different types of things, trying to piecemeal this movie together. And it's so amazing to hear those stories, but yet the film is so high quality that it's not even funny. And that's a testament to Deborah Hill and to John, of course, and all of the cast and crew. So, all right, let's see who else we got in here. We got Danielle is in the house. What's up, Danielle? Good to see you. Val, thank you for reminding people. If you haven't hit the like button, please do. Come on, guys, help us out. Also, I got out today after working on it for many days in the middle of vacay. Video on The Shining, so definitely check that out as well if you haven't. That would definitely help us out a lot. Put it in a playlist. Eric, what's up, baby? Hope you're doing well, man. Saying a kid can learn to drive by watching adults. Yeah, Michael likely learned that way. The problem is, how did he know how to get to Haddonfield from the asylum? Did he read a map? You know, that's a good question as well, you know. And here's the other thing too. You know, we don't know exactly how long it took. You know, we know that Loomis was after him. But again, he left that night, right? He got into the car at night and drove off. And Loomis didn't chase after him until the morning. So you literally had, what, 8 hours, 9 hours of drive time? I mean, he could have just figured it out.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So we know he's smart. Let's back up on that too. Kill, is Michael smart?
Michael's highly intelligent. Yeah.
I mean, this isn't, you know, we're not talking friggin' in a violent nature type of dumb. We're talking about Michael. we're talking about Michael Audrey Myers. I'm sorry for people that love in a violent nature. It's all good. But yeah, you know, he could have figured it out. You know, Danielle saying shouldn't have, but I could drive an automatic car by 10 years old. Maybe not good driving, but still driving. Yeah. Bro, you remember Dad would let us, you know, work the stick shift and stuff in the truck and hold on to the wheel and all that type of stuff when we were pretty young. I don't know how old, but we were kids. So yeah, it's definitely believable. No doubt about that. Whoa, Neil's in the house. What's up, man? Neil on Black Reviews. Hey. First rule of horror: don't try to apply logic to horror films. There you go, baby. You're right. Hope you're doing well, man. Good to see you. And look who we've got. May's in the house. What's up, May? 27 months, man. We're almost at 30. This is crazy. This is so crazy. Thank you so much for all the support. She's saying, hello, Night Kill, my entire Night Watch fam. You know, Night, sometimes a break is necessary, but I've missed y'all, so I'm back and recharged. That's really sweet. Thank you so much, May. We appreciate that. You know, we haven't been able to stream as much, which for the first time in 5 years or so streaming, you know, we've been able to manage multiple live streams every single week after week. Probably, you know, small little breaks here and there, probably a handful, could count them on both of my hands. But it's been tougher lately, but we're trying to do some things. Tonight is definitely one of them. So thank you so much for all the support, May. We appreciate you so much. Seriously. Troy, what's up? For me, it's not just how did he learn to drive? It's just kind of a goofy image. Yeah, I mean, look, like I said, I think that he watched people, he got in, he just figured it out, you know. I mean, funny thing is when Loomis said somebody was giving him lessons, who knows? Val, you're right. Michael knowing how to drive is magic, right? There you go. Season of the Witch logic all night long. There you go. I love it. All right, so Kill, we got a couple of questions that we're going to pose for Halloween, and let's have you started off with that and read the card, and we're gonna attempt to answer these.
All right. Why is Halloween 78 so popular?
Yeah, you know, the question is why? Why is it so popular? Kill, we've talked about hundreds of horror movies over the last 6 years. between both channels, of course. You know, Slasher Movie Club alone was over 100. But why did this movie become so popular? Do you have, and you may not have a theory, or you may not even have an answer. I don't know. We haven't rehearsed this. This is totally live. We'll do it live. But do you have an idea or theory about why it has endured damn near 50 years, and it's among only a handful of movies that can say that?
I do have a theory.
Okay.
And one of them is the obvious thing. You know, I've said this time and time again on Battle World streams and verses and things of that nature. It's hard to top the music that came out of the original Halloween, or that precedes in the Halloween movies. Even the ones that are like in the valleys.
Yeah.
You know, the ones that are not that good, where Nick Cage mask runs supreme. The music is there. Might be little variations of it, you know, remixes of it, but it's there.
Mm-hmm.
And as humans, you know, we're visual, and we also, you know, key on audio and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
The visual aspect, Final Destination is a great movie franchise, but there's nothing visual to it. You can't see an antagonist. You don't have a mascot antagonist that Coriander can knit so beautifully. You guys see what I'm throwing down here? We love the Final Destination franchise, but there's nothing tangible to see.
Right.
Michael Myers, when you see that creepy image of him barely in the shadow and the pale white, you know, reverse William Shatner mask, you know it. When you see someone wearing that shirt, you know it. You know, imagery is a very important thing. Mascots are a very important thing, whether it's a video game and it's Pac-Man, or it's a Marvel movie and it's Spider-Man, or it's Superman and it's S. Everyone around the world knows those. It's symbolism.
Yeah.
And Michael is a great mascot for horror. He's a great mascot for his franchise. And you tie that with the music.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and on top of that, the name of the movie, the name of the franchise is named after a holiday.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just like, you know, the money is on the wall. Whoever thought of this stuff, the merchandising is out of the room.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They should have played the lottery.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
That's what they should have done. That was, hey, man, that was a good answer. I love it. Let's get some applause for that.
Thank you.
That was awesome. Yeah. So, you know, to me, I agree with everything you said. And I also think that at the time, you know, when we talk about why Halloween 78 is so popular, I think it also came out at a time where nothing had really been done like it, per se. Now, all my Halloween fans, hold on tight, and all my Black Christmas fans, hold on for a second. Because, yes, Black Christmas came out first, and there were a lot of things that Carpenter enjoyed, you know, about that film, inspiration and so forth. But he took it to a point where you had this mythology. You had a character that was right there in front that you could connect with. You know, Michael as a character, as a visual character, is very striking. I mean, he's lasted 50 years. So I think that they just hit it at the right moment. You had the right director, you had the right cinematographer in Dean Cundy, the music, you had a great cast, and Donald Pleasance, you know, and it really gave a lot of credibility to this film. And I think that once it came out and it grabbed people's attention, it was just downhill from there. It was just downhill from there. You know, no one could get out of the way until 1980 when when New Jersey took huge inspiration and did its own thing. But that's another story. But I think that's why it's so popular. And as time has gone on with our generation and even a generation back or two back, you know, we've kept that memory alive. We've kept that fire burning, you know, and especially with this new trilogy, I think that really cemented it. I think that cemented Halloween for at least another 15 years or so. And of course, we know Michael will be coming back. But you know what else is going to be coming back, Kill? A channel member anniversary. Troy coming in with 15 months. Thank you so much, brother. We appreciate you. Saying it's totally a nitpick, but it totally could totally use less utterances of the word totally. I loved totally. Come on. Linda is amazing. What do you think, Kill?
I'm fine with it. You know, it is a nitpick, but hey, I get it. I
Yeah.
get it.
I mean,
I
also
totally get it.
you totally get it, right? I mean, it also was a sign of its time, so I could see how, maybe that hasn't aged as well. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I was okay with it. All right. Thank you so much, brother. We appreciate all the support. Danielle saying, I'm not a huge fan of Halloween, but even I can admit it was a catalyst that set a path forward for horror. I agree. If we didn't have Halloween, then, we probably wouldn't have gotten Friday the 13th. If we didn't get Friday the 13th, we wouldn't have had that golden age of slashers from 81 to like 85, somewhere around there. And you know what that includes from 1984, Kill? A little guy named Freddy Krueger. And once he came around, it's over. It's over. Slashers, they definitely had a great run. They really did. Neil saying Black Christmas is a Canadian giallo that strongly influenced the American slasher. Absolutely. Halloween is arguably the first true American slasher. Well said, man. And I totally agree. Pun intended. I totally agree with you. No doubt about that whatsoever. Okay, Kill, let's move on to our next topic. Let's see what we got here. What could Halloween have done better? If you could really just sit there, get down to brass tacks, and nitpick. I mean, I know we talked about the totally, and that's fair enough. But again, I think that's a little bit more like the sign of the times type of thing. But if you could really nitpick, what would you say?
Okay, so this is just totally nitpicking, and two things came to mind. Although Dr. Loomis gets his shine more in the second movie, I could have dealt with more Loomis in this one. That would have just been like more yumminess on top of a great dish.
Yeah.
And I'm fine with the pacing. I'm fine with how long it takes for Michael to pretty much do his first kill. But, maybe, he could have done a kill a little sooner. I get exactly how many minutes, into the movie it is before, he really starts, killing.
Yeah.
But
it's a little bit.
It's a little bit. And I love a slow burn. I love the anticipation, and I know that's kind of what they were building to. But I'm sure there are some people out there that they want blood on the wall as soon as possible. So maybe he could have got to the body count a little sooner. But once again, these are nitpicks.
Yeah. So, well, and also kind of again, and I know I don't want to make it sound like an excuse. And by the way, is my audio okay?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. I don't want to use this as an excuse, but again, sign of the times, Even if you look at the golden era of slashers, even the most intense slasher of that period doesn't even hold a candle to something like Terrifier. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So each phase, each decade, each era kind of has its own signature and rhythm, and I think that having that slow burn was a sign of the time for horror. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I would say is kind of as far as what they could have done better. I agree with you, maybe a little bit more Loomis. I know they were trying to have a tight runtime, so they were trying to make sure that they didn't go too long, but maybe if they did go another 10 minutes in runtime, maybe we could have gotten at least another scene or two of Loomis. You know, I was really invested in those scenes where he's trying to find Michael, you know, when he goes to the payphone, you know, and of course there's the dead body that he never saw. Those were moments that I really enjoyed even as a kid, you know. So that's what I think about that. Let's move to our next one, Kill. I'll let you take this one.
How much swag does Michael have?
Yeah, baby. I mean, when we talk about swag, I mean, again, killers are a dime a dozen, you know. What do you, I mean, is there a specific thing, you know, that really made him stand out? You know, it was almost as simple as 1 + 1 is 2. He was in a mechanic's outfit with a knife,
Yeah.
you know. So what was it? You know, how much swag and how? Why?
You know, it's just a perfect storm of the body language, not speaking, and just the simplicity of the outfit, the simplicity of the mask. I mean, essentially, he's wearing a mask that you can get in any CVS or, you know, a convenience store or, you know, a Spirit of Halloween store. It's William Shatner reversed. He puts it on, grabs a knife from anyone's kitchen, and we've seen him numerous times go to various houses and check out the cutlery, test the cutlery on bodies, you know, one
Right?
knife after another. Oh, I like this one. I like the weight of this one. You know, so, you know, he's very simplistic with what he does. And for some people, they like that. Other people, they're like, oh, I like how Jason Voorhees kills because he gives me variety. You know, he gives me a weed whacker, an axe, just bashing you in your sleeping bag, you know, a spear gun, you know, he gives you a lot of variety. Michael, for the most part, Michael's he's gonna stab you, and he's just there's not gonna be any emotion to it. He's gonna just walk up on you, he's gonna stab you, and then he's gonna go to the next person that he's gonna stab.
Right.
So there's a simplicity there, yet there's a sophistication with how he does it. And the blue overalls, I mean, I guess what I'm saying is everything about his aesthetic is stuff that you can just get in any store or just steal from a mechanic, you know, and it looks absolutely terrifying. Look at that. You don't see eyes, you just see the blackest of his soul, and it's just terrifying.
Right.
No gloves, just the overalls, the mask, and a knife.
Yeah. Well, I'll go a step further, and you guys in the chat, let us know too. We'll catch up to you guys in a second. And we may not get to everyone's comment. You know, we'll try, but as always, if you do send in a super chat, that'll go to the front of the line, and you know, definitely help us out here at the channel. But I want to go a step further, and you know, I want to give a lot of credit to Nick Castle.
Oh yeah.
You know, and the crew, and Dean Cundy. You know, I think Dean Cundy, people don't talk about cinematography a lot, you know, at least, you know, not that I hear about, you know, when talking horror movies, you know, and we try to break down films, whether it's in, you know, Battle World or in Great Debates, our series, but cinematography is a big part of it. I mean, look at this shot. When I look up Halloween 78, do you know, like as a content creator, this is being real, that it's as easy to find cool shots from 78 as almost any other films in the franchise, maybe with the exception of the new trilogy. And of course, that's, you know, that's because they knew we've got to put Michael in the best light. We've got to make him the star. We've got to put Jamie Lee Curtis in great lighting and great positions. And that made a huge difference. I mean, look at this. This shot is terrifying, and there's dozens and dozens and dozens of other moments. So I think Nick, Dean Cundy, you know, obviously Deborah and John, you know, in the back, you know, kind of getting everything situated. I think that was a huge part of that swag that Michael had. And you know what? I can give you a great example. And all of my New Jersey fans, do not get upset because, you know, we love Friday the 13th. But I'm going to give you guys a great example. And I know you're going to love this, Kill. As much as I absolutely love Friday the 13th Part 2, there is a huge divide between Sackboy and then what we got in Friday 3. And it isn't just because the mask was that crisp. It was because the physicality of Richard Brooker, the way he moved, the way he was shot. There's great images and scenes with him lit very well, looking ominous and so forth. Whereas with Friday 13th Part 2, I love it. And Sackboy's fine. We know Paul can't fight, but it is what it is. But he doesn't have that swag. Does that make sense, Kill? Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, the man behind the mask,
Yes.
definitely can lead to extras.
Yes.
It's the physicality, the mannerisms, whether it's Kane Hodder, Brooker, whoever. Robert Englund, obviously. But the where Jason and Michael have something in common is they don't talk. So you really, as an actor, as a thespian, you have to bring out more with that character through the physical, through the walk, through the turning the body and then turning the head, or turning the head first, then the body. Those movements that some might say, oh, you're walking robotic.
Yeah.
Or you're walking like a land shark, you like an animal, like you're targeting on something.
Yes.
And that level of physicality and mannerisms can put a chill in the viewer's spine. Because we're watching this and it's just, just having someone running at you like, yeah, I'm going to kill you or whatever, yada, yada. That's one thing. But having someone burst through a window or a door, do like this, look at you, punch through like a closet, is just this close to getting you.
Right?
Oh, man. And then, of course, like you said, when you mix those camera angles that make us feel like we are Jamie Lee looking up at this hand that's inches away that wants to grab, my neck and break it. And then on top of that, the music is going. So you have the cinematography, the music, the performance from the actors, the performance by the man behind the mask with the physicality. And it's just a perfect storm of what it takes to really make these antagonists pop.
Yep. I agree. Absolutely. Val and Kelly were talking about the head tilt. Yeah, it's those little things. The head tilt was great. It gave him a little bit of character, so to speak. I mean, it's the same thing that we saw with Kane, with the heavy breathing, where and it's like, bro, it's taking me back to when I was a kid, because when I would see him do that, I'd be like, oh shit, here we go. Somebody's about to catch him. You made him mad, bro. Especially like in Part 7, when he's thinking to himself, why am I fighting the X-Men and Jean Grey? And he had this one shot where he turned his head real quick and you could see how his face is all decrepit and you can see teeth, and he kind of, and he turns his head. I'm just like, you gotta love this guy. This guy Kane, he might be able to play Jason for a little while. He might be. That's what I was thinking as a kid. But yeah, it gives the killer character, and I really think that's a huge part of it. Danielle saying Michael's swag, I think his swag was more hype by fans than reality, but isn't that true of everyone considered to have swag? I mean, I think that there could be truth to that, especially for some things. I just think the popularity, of Michael, those types of things that we saw in the other movies, there's a reason we saw those things like the head tilt and the type of walk, and obviously the way he's dressed, the way he kills and so forth, because they knew that's what was making him popular. That's what his aesthetic was. That was the mythology that was built. You know what I mean? And I put it this way. Well, Danielle, let me ask you this, and this is not one of our questions for tonight, but I'm going to throw it out there. Do you think that Michael belongs like in the top 5, of horror villains in the history of horror? And for some folks, depending on which generation you come from or when you grew up, some people can go way far back to Universal monsters. I guess I would say, at least modern wise, I mean, you could answer it both ways, because obviously there were some great horror villains from way, way back in the day. We're talking about the 40s and 50s. But do you guys, and I guess this could be to the whole audience, do you guys think that Michael is worthy of being in the top 5 or higher of horror villains in the history of horror. You know, let's throw that out there as well, because I think that that's part of a question that we can, you know, kind of investigate. Skywalker in the house, and I'm late, but let's get down to brass tacks. There you go. That's what I'm talking about. Welcome, welcome. Let's see. Val saying that is what makes the shape the goat. He didn't need a gimmick to scare the shit out of you. Simplicity. You know,
Yep.
that's a great point. Simplicity. And I think that the direction of Carpenter, the cinematography, the way the scenes were set up, you know, I think that was a huge part of it as well. Yeah. Okay, Kill. Let's go to our next one. And we've kind of touched upon it a little bit. Some people, you know, I've heard some people just say it's flat out boring. You know, it's not scary to them. You know, they don't watch it. They don't understand why people like us love it. It's way overhyped. So forth. I mean, we've heard some of that in the live chat. If I was to say that to you, of course I wouldn't, but if I was to say that to you, what would your response be? If you were to try to, I mean, I don't know necessarily changing my mind, but what would your response to that be?
You know, it's funny. I'll use this allegory first. You know, when you take pizza that's, you know, from a day old, and you got two options of heating it up. You could put it in a toaster oven and crisp it up, but it's going to take longer. Or you can throw it in the microwave and you'll have it ready in about 40 seconds.
Yeah.
So it just depends. If you want to be fucking lazy and put it in the microwave and it'll taste kind of bad, but it'll be warm, or you put it in the toaster oven for a few minutes and it'll come out crispy and it'll taste just like you got it today.
Yeah.
There are two types of people. You have the people that don't mind the slow burn.
Right.
And you have the people that want that instant gratification, you know, especially nowadays. And I know I'm gonna sound like old man Killian here. You know, attention spans, you know, they're not really a thing. People watch a lot of reels on YouTube and social media instead of watching full-fledged videos, things of that nature. It is what it is. And then also some people are like, oh, well, this is from 1978. You guys thought this was scary? Like, he's not really doing anything, and when he does kill someone, he just stabs them. He doesn't do anything special. You know, he's not doing like Terrifier kills or whatever. Or, you know, so I just look at it as I look at this movie, and it is a classic. It is a classic, but I guess I look at this movie the same way I look at the old Universal monster movies. And like the same way that for the most part, those aren't scary to me, but back then those were scary to somebody. Back then, the Exorcist was terrifying to people. Some people nowadays look at it like, oh, it's just a kid and twisting her neck around and spitting pea soup at you. Like, okay, you know. So it's different strokes for different folks. I personally like the slow burn because when it gets to the kills, it feels earned. You earned it. You earned the tension. You have a guy that breaks out of a mental institute and he's stalking young girls in a beautiful little American town on Halloween night.
Right. It's literally outside of your door.
Yeah, and he's walking around in a mask, but it's Halloween, so it fits. Nothing seems out of the ordinary, and he is stalking them, and they know something's up. Like, hey, I think that guy's following us. What guy? Oh, he must have just went behind a bush or whatever. Or I look out my window and he's there. So it's just that anticipation of when is he going to strike? You know, what's going to happen? And then once he does strike, now you're off to the races. You know, you're literally off to the races. And that last half of the movie, oh goodness, like if pacing was your issue at the beginning, it damn sure isn't at the end.
Right.
You know?
Right. No, that's a good point. You know, and the other thing too is that you already know, like you said, he escaped right in the beginning of the movie. You know, and even the great Alfred Hitchcock, he talked about how, you know, that tension and that knowing, you know, is more of the horror than the actual, you know, act itself. You know what I'm saying? Leading up to that kill in the shower of Psycho was like, oh my gosh, you know what I mean? Like someone's in that bathroom and this lady is in one of the most vulnerable states you could be in. You know what I'm saying? That's what's got you on the edge. You know what I'm saying? So Danielle saying, oh, this question is for me. Why is it boring? Saying because I grew up on more, I get why it was great for its time, but compared to newer stuff, which is unfair, it's slow and boring. Well, there you go.
Yep, that's kind of
There
what I
you go.
said.
Yeah, there you go. You know, but the other thing too, like you said too, Kill, you know, some people they love slow burns, and some people definitely don't. I always feel the way that I judge a horror movie is it has to be a smart slow burn. It has to keep me invested, and usually that's the story and the characters and the interaction and those types of things. And that's why, not to get back on my soapbox, but that's why something like In a Violent Nature, I think, is boring because it is a slow burn because we're following the POV of the killer. But the worst part about it is there's no real story to it, and the biggest sin is there's nothing going on with the characters. You don't learn anything about the characters. They have no real interactions. You know, it's really all about following the perspective of the killer, which is cool. You know, and we'll see what they do with part 2, but you got to give me something to actually care about these people. And you know, so that's the difference of slow burn. You know, like if a slow burn keeps my attention through the characters and story, how well it's shot, you know, those types of things, some type of freshness, which Halloween did have, that's what's going to carry it for me. So all right, let's go back to the chat and catch up with these guys. I know we got a lot going on. Neil saying In a Violent Nature had me literally counting steps. I know, man. It was brutal. If you have not seen my Why You Hate In a Violent Nature, you need to check that out, because I went off. But you know, as usual, you know, I just made a case for what I was thinking, you know, and there's a lot of people that are big fans of it and the concept, which I agree, the concept was great. I really do think so. So a lot of folks in the chat saying that Michael is a top 5, you know, horror villain, which is pretty cool. Melissa's saying number 1. She's not playing around. Russell saying absolutely belongs in the top 5.
This
you
is
know,
the way.
this is the way. This is definitely the way. May is saying top 3. There you go. And even Danielle, look at this, guys. Look at this. Danielle saying, yeah, Mike deserves a top 5 because he was a catalyst. And, you know, Rob Zombie's Mike Myers is the one I find very scary. There you go. Well, he's got to be scary. He's 10 feet tall. He's got to be. If he isn't, then I don't know what we're doing.
Yeah.
I don't know what we're doing. Richie's is saying that Mike is the GOAT. Okay, so I think we kind of, you know, figured that one out. Kelly saying, I think the emotionless nature of Michael definitely makes him rank in the top 5 of all time for sure. To me, we're talking Mount Rushmore. You know, he's in the top 4 for me. And really, he's Kill, what place is he in for you?
He's in the top 3. Honestly, for me, he's number 2.
He's number 2. Who's number 1, Kill? Who's number 1?
Jason.
There you go. I mean, I feel
There's no lying here.
There's no line. There's never been any line. Look, man, I got the box set of Friday 13th right here, still standing proud. But I will say this, and I said this when we went to Halloween Kills. It was so funny because we're in the theater, and me and Coriander are absolutely geeked, you know, ready to watch this thing. And as soon as it came on, and it was the 78 recreation, I lost my shit. I was like, what? When he came out of the burning house, the demon coming from the gates of hell, the 7th circle of hell itself. I looked over the Coriander and I said, yo, Michael is getting close to that top spot, man. I mean, you know, he's touching the pant leg of Jason, literally. You know what I'm saying? Let me ask you this too. I know we're all over the place, but it's, you know, we're just chilling here with all of these people. If Halloween Ends was a stronger film, and I know you don't hate it totally,
Right.
But we know its flaws. We've talked about that ad nauseum. If Halloween Ends was as good as the first two, or if it was as strong as, let's say it was as strong as Kills, okay, would that have given you any cause to pause about whether Michael could slip into number one?
Honestly, no.
Okay.
And my reasoning for that, and this might sound lame, but I just think of all of those years, or when on the calendar it hits Friday the 13th, and then they
That's
would
right.
play the marathon of those on like USA or TNT or wherever, or just me rewatch them and just loving watching these movies, even the TV edits,
Yeah.
just rewatching them over and over and over, remembering Kill's lines, and just watching Jason do his thing, man. It's hard to take that spot in my heart.
Okay.
It's tough. It's tough.
All right. Fair enough. Man, I don't know, man. And I'm not saying he would have taken the top spot, but dude, I definitely would have been thinking. I would have at least thought, because that would have given, at least for me, if Ends was strong enough, that would have easily given me at least 7 or 8 Halloween films in the franchise that I was like, yo, this is friggin' awesome. You know what I mean? And you guys know, if you've been around long enough with Friday 13th, for me, it's probably about 8 or 9 out of 12 that I think, are really top notch. So it would have made me think for sure. You know what else I think about, Kill? I think about the fact that Hollywood Guy is coming in with the first super chat of the night. Thank you so much, Hollywood Guy. We appreciate it. It helps us out more than you will ever know. And he's saying poor Pinhead gets no love. Freddy, Jason, Michael are icons. Too bad for Pinhead. Okay, well, you don't want me to rant about Pinhead, baby. But Pinhead had an amazing mythology in the first 2 films, okay? The third film, it was pretty good. I haven't watched it in a long time. I've been thinking about watching it so I could see if I reevaluate it. But that's kind of where we started to get to the edge of the cliff. I think they saw the writing on the wall. Freddy Krueger was so popular. Now Pinhead is kind of throwing out little quips. What are we doing? You're from hell. You don't need to do that, right? Hellraiser 4, they literally jumped off the cliff and went right into space. And I think that for me, that's why he'll always be in the second tier. He'll always be in the second tier. The first 2 films are great. 2 might even be better than 1, and I think 1 is a classic. But that's where I go with Pinhead. What about you, Kill?
It's not a real fair thing for me to talk because I'm not the biggest Hellraiser fan.
Yeah.
And I never really have been. I don't exactly know why, but it just never got its hooks into me.
Yeah.
I respect it, Clive Barker, yeah. But I don't know. I just, I'm just kind of like, look, I dance with who brought me, and that's Jason, Michael, Freddy, and as of late, we add Ghostface in there and so forth. But I'm good.
Let me ask you this too, because obviously, this channel, to me anyways, I mean, we've literally built this channel off of the Trinity, excuse me, and Ghostface. When did Ghostface get that spot on Mount Rushmore? Was there a moment that you could, or one of the films that you could say, okay, now Ghostface is on the mount?
Well, I guess for me, and granted, you can look at this as, well, that's a good litmus test for value, or you could be like, that doesn't really prove it. I guess for me, after you made a certain amount of the movies and you're not hitting a lot of valley,
right?
And I think I've said this before. I love the Halloween franchise, but there's more valleys in the Halloween movies than I feel that are in the Scream movies.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And that's a hard thing to do. And I guess I also give. God damn it, Nick Cage. What are we doing here,
Oscar
sir?
winner, baby. Anyways, go ahead.
But I guess, you know, and granted, I know we're not talking about Scream in this, but since we brought it up, I to have the killer be unknown
Yeah.
in every movie, and to throw the swerves and to kind of catch us off guard and to give us double killers and triple killers and just throw us for these loops at the beginning of like, oh, they're gonna kill this, and then oh, they don't, and then oh, it's this person, and then oh, the killers get killed. Like, oh, okay, that's different. You know, that takes a lot. You know, a lot of smart men and women, and you know, you just after a certain amount of movies, you gotta tip your hat and say, okay, you made it here. You know, and especially if you can also transcend your heroine.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
Can you transcend your heroine? You know, Nightmare on Elm Street did it. You know, obviously Halloween semi did it. You know, because some would say, oh, that's when the Valleys came in, but Donald Pleasance was there to kind of pick up the slack.
Right.
You know. So it's just kind of one of those things where after a certain amount of movies, I would say after the third movie, I was just like, okay, this is a franchise. It's here to stay, you know, and they're going to keep doing it, and they keep knocking it out of the park.
Yep. Yeah. Hell yeah. Look at Neil coming in there. First, I thought it was the wig master, Julie. Neil saying, give it back. Listen, let me ask you this. We talked about it, but you know, some folks here are new. Did Michael say give it back in Halloween Kills?
It's
when Karen took the mask off and he was kind of standing there. For real, did you hear it?
I mean, did you?
No. I can see how people think it.
It kind of sounded like
it sounded like a breath, bro. I remember I was talking to our brother Steven. We were on the phone and he was like, man, put your headphones on, blah, blah, blah. I went back and I put on my headphones, same one I have here. They're really good. And I turned that sucker all the way up and probably made myself more deaf. I can see how people think he said it, but here's my thing. Was there any call for him to even say it?
I mean, look, when it came to the Rob Zombie Halloweens, he broke a lot of rules, especially in that second one.
Yes.
So, you know, Hobo Myers, you know, you name it. There you go. So, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I try not to think of the second one. I love the first Rob Zombie one.
Right.
Second one, White Horse, you know.
Yeah. Val, of course, saying, no, he did not. He did not. And real quick, let me just say, you guys are too funny. And Val, also, thank you for putting in the link for our Patreon. We got some cool stuff that we're doing over on the Patreon page. We also have the ability to chat, which is much easier. We got some stuff that's going to be coming up. I'll be in touch with you guys over on the Patreon page, and we appreciate all the support. But Hollywood Guy, let's do a super chat clip. Thank you so much for the super chat. We really appreciate that. It helps us out a lot, you know, to be able to do what we do and to fit things into our schedule and make this happen and get everyone together to have some fun. So, Kill, you know, sometimes when you don't know exactly what to expect, you might get a little bit of this.
You done messed up, AA Ron.
You done messed up, AA Ron.
Look, we all have done that happy dance. Maybe not physically, but in our minds. And she was just happy for her pancakes.
Yeah, bro. You got to be happy for pancakes. I get happy too, man. Hollywood Guy, thank you so much for that super chat. We really appreciate that, man. Seriously. Neil saying, can anyone give a timestamp for Give It Back? I'm going to check it out right after the stream. Definitely check it out, man. Definitely check it out because I have. And in all seriousness, I can see how people think that he did. But the other part of it too is it just seems like to me, what would the reason have been to break the mythology like that. You know what I mean? I don't think that there was a reason to really have done that. Because look, all he had to do was walk up to her anyways. So anyways, Danielle, you're all right. So let's switch gears a little bit, because now we're going to be talking about another film that was very important in a franchise that has also become legendary and is also celebrating almost 50 years. Came out with a really good film just several months ago, and now has a hit streaming show and so forth. And we're big fans of it, but we wanted to talk about this because there's also some debate that goes on with Aliens. And so let's get into Aliens. Aliens, when you think of Aliens, 1986, directed by the great James Cameron, what comes to your mind just as a brief overview, general overview?
Just magic. James was able to double down on what Ridley Scott initially did, put action in it, change up the story a little bit, give us great characters, great lines, and added on so much to the mythology, that just really made us really start to think and question, what is this thing? Where did they come from? The queen laying eggs. Well, who birthed the queen? And, just a great sequel.
Yeah, absolutely, man. No doubt about that at all. To me, I just think it was one of those films that, again, it was just magical. You had a master director, you had great cinematography, you had a great score, and you had a fantastic cast led by the great Sigourney Weaver. Anyone that's been around this channel, you guys know Sigourney Weaver can do no wrong in our eyes. But here's the questions that I want to throw out, because we've literally talked about these things on this channel with some people that are here right now in the audience, and I want to get a sense from everybody what they think. So the first one, Kill, let me throw this one out at you. You can read it and take this one.
Is Aliens horror?
That's the question, bro. What do you think? Because we've literally had people, and I'm not saying what's right or wrong. This is just a discussion, as always. We have fun with these discussions, but there are people, and I've heard it in other circles as well. The Aliens is not horror. What do you think, and where do you fall?
This is tough, because the first movie is clearly horror or sci-fi horror. This movie is hard action science fiction with horror elements. I do not think it's a horror movie. It has horror elements, but it's a little too much action. It's too many people that are fighting back. It's too much warfare and even comedy and just straight up just great action. Whereas the first movie, it was extremely claustrophobic. Now Aliens is claustrophobic as well, but the first one is extremely claustrophobic. And there's a totally unknown quantity that's cutting them down one after another, and it's just so foreign that it's alien. No pun intended. But as far as the second movie, you have a person that gives you knowledge, whether you want to listen to her or not. She's giving you knowledge, so you can combat it with that. You have weaponry, you have the training, but then you still have some of those horror elements, like the chest burster, like the Xenomorph, things of that nature. But it's more of an action. There's a lot.
So here's my question. And we got comments in here. This is some great stuff in here. I want to pull up some of these things. I can't get to everyone. Again, if you send in the super chat, we'll make sure we get to it. Neil saying, technically, no. Aliens is not a horror film. Now, Neil, can you expand upon that? Because you're saying technically no. So, if you want to expand on it, you can. If you don't want to, that's okay. But let us know if you want to expand on that a little bit. May saying, could it be considered a creature feature? Oh, absolutely. The Xenomorph is one of the greatest creatures in movie history, in my opinion. Probably the greatest.
Yeah.
You know. Okay, we got acting with horror elements more so. We got, yes, sci-fi action horror, but horror nonetheless. Okay. Even Danielle saying, yes, a type of horror. Okay. All right. Let's see. And Paul is saying the score is cool. It's very cool. This is how I look at it. You know, I just label it as sci-fi horror. Sci-fi horror. That's what it. Well, and you could say sci-fi action horror. You know what I'm saying? And it probably is in that order. You know, it's sci-fi because it's in space and we're dealing with aliens. You know, and it obviously has the action aspect with all of the, you know, the Marines and so forth. But to me, and I'm not even talking about when I was that little kid watching it almost every day in the summer of '86. Even today, I mean, there's horror in this film.
Well, let me ask you this.
You got aliens busting out of a chest, chasing a little girl, spitting acid and burning people, killing people, ripping people apart, even if it was an android. That's horror. Now, I'm not saying it's obviously a smaller percentage. You know what I'm saying? If we're like dividing it up like a pie, but I definitely think there's horror in it. Nowhere near as much as Alien, obviously.
Well, let me pose this to you, and I'm just playing devil's advocate here.
Sure. That's why we're doing this.
Is Independence Day horror?
No.
So
I don't think so.
Independence Day.
It has a couple of moments that's kind of sprinkled in there, but I think it leans a lot more into, you know, action. It's obviously sci-fi because, you know, it's an alien invasion. But I think it leans a lot more into action. It's got camp. It's got comedy.
So, but the death toll, those aliens kill way more.
That's true.
And the Xenomorph in here. So I guess, is it just the chest burster? Is that the thing that makes Aliens horror?
Well, I think it's a big part of it, you know, the way that the Xenomorph operates, you know, and it's listen, I mean, and Alien Earth is on right now, and obviously you've been really enjoying it. No spoilers in the chat. There's a lot of people, including myself, that have not caught up, but this creature is something. You know, there are moments like in Romulus. I know we're talking about aliens. And Romulus definitely kind of veered back to the alien vibe for sure. But obviously, you know, they took cues from all of the movies, including Aliens. And I still think there's something to be said about being stranded somewhere, whether it's on a ship like the Nostromo, or, you know, when you're on a planet with a colony that's been basically aced out, there's no help coming. And you are not only outnumbered, but you are outgunned. And this is a vicious monster. So I think there's something that's got to be said for that. You know, again, if people want to say, you know, sci-fi action horror, you know, I don't have any issue with that. But to say that 100% it's not horror, I just don't agree with it. You know what I mean? That's how I look at it, you know. But Look at May. You're all right. You know it's pure horror, the shining bathroom scene. Here's Johnny. Thank you so much. The video just dropped earlier. You're all right. Thank you so much, May. We appreciate that. And if you guys have not seen that, please watch it. It helps us out as we try to fight the algorithm, which is a battle that who knows if we could ever even think about winning it. But thank you so much, guys. Danielle saying, is it horror? To answer that question comes down to simply, were you ever scared watching it? Yes or no? There's your answer. As a kid, yeah. You know, I mean, now, and I think all of us that have grown up on horror, you know, a lot of us are totally desensitized. Some people still get scared by, you know, certain films or even films like this. I don't, but I can see why it scared me as a child, why it could scare anyone else, you know, from the outside looking in perspective. So, interesting stuff, guys. Interesting. Scott saying nothing with Will Smith is horror. There you go. Neil saying, my personal opinion is that horror is subjective. If you think Titanic is a horror film, then it's a horror film. I mean, I think it's subjective to a certain extent. You know, I don't. I mean, there are horrific things that happen in Titanic, but you know, I don't think it would be labeled as a horror film. That's just like if we watch an action film like The Expendables. You know, do you know how many people get killed in that movie or in any of those movies? But it's not a horror film. Horrific things happen, though, no doubt. And just a shout out also to Erica in the house. Thanks so much for being here, Erica. We really appreciate that. Saying I find it to be pretty horrifying if anyone alien poos out of someone's body. So horror. Yeah, hey, that's what I'm saying, man. I mean, that's definitely not gonna, you know, it is what it is. Second question, Kill. Is Aliens better than Alien?
Oh, god damn you.
You know, we've talked about this a few times, and I'm just throwing it out there. You know, I mean, your personal opinion. Me and you have grown up with these movies. What do you think?
It's tough because kind of what I said a little earlier. For me, Alien is a horror movie. You know, I mean, the tagline is "In space, no one can hear you scream." Well, what type of movies do you scream on?
Right.
I mean, maybe you could say, "Oh, John Wick, the action. I scream for the action," but no, you scream at a horror movie.
Yeah.
And the sheer terror that original trailer invokes with just certain sounds and just seeing people running and screaming in a panic. And then you compare it to this movie where you have such a great ensemble cast, so many catchphrases. You have comedy from the great Bill Paxton.
Yes.
Rest in peace.
Absolutely.
You know, and you have some great action from one of the greatest sci-fi directors of all times. You know, so it's a tough question to answer, and depending on how I feel, I normally will say Alien is better, but Aliens takes what Alien did and turns it up like another 100 degrees.
Okay.
And for some people that's a good thing. For some people that's a bad thing.
Yes.
You know, it's a bigger body count. You got more aliens to fight against, but then again, you have more better trained personnel to deal with them.
Yes.
Whereas on the oil rig of the first one, it's pretty much is an oil rig. You
Yeah,
know,
it is.
You had no weapons, really. I mean, let's be real about this.
Yeah.
And there was no foreknowledge. You didn't have an advisor like Ripley telling you, "Hey guys, watch out. That thing is going to burst out of the chest and it's going to turn into a giant reptile and it's going to kill you all." You know, so if you really want to throw an answer out at me, when I was younger, I would say Aliens is better. But as I am now, I say Alien is better.
Okay. All right. You know, for me, I totally echo everything you said. You know, these are two films that are just some of the best ever, you know, regardless of genre or classification. They're just so well done. Ridley and James Cameron, they're Hall of Famers, you know, and it is what it is. There's no doubt about that. So I also have kind of gone back and forth. And I, you know, when I was a kid, you know, I definitely would have said Aliens because I watched the hell out of that friggin' movie. Yeah. Me and one of my school buddies. I mean, we literally wore out that friggin' movie, you know. So there's a lot of nostalgia with it in that sense. But Alien, I'll never forget the first time we watched it, and it scared the shit out of me, you know. So I've gone back and forth. If you ask me right now, yeah, I agree. I think Alien. I'd nudge it just a little bit. I'm talking about it's microscopic.
Yep.
You know, ask me in 3 more seconds and I probably would change it. But they're both fantastic. They really are. You know what else? You know what else is fantastic?
What's that?
Is when Hollywood Guy comes back in with another super chat to help support this community. Thank you so much, man. We appreciate that. Saying Event Horizon is a horror film. It's scary and fun. Yes, indeed.
That is a horror ass movie.
No doubt about it. You know, it has a little bit of action elements to it in a way, and it's obviously sci-fi because it's in the depths of space. But there is no doubt the imagery in that film, First of all, fantastic. How many of you guys in the chat have seen Event Horizon? Let us know. If you've seen this movie, let us know. I'm curious. It's a movie that nobody talks about nearly enough, not even here on this channel, which is a crime. Maybe I'll try to change that up a little bit. Who knows? Maybe we'll talk about this next week. But it's a fantastic movie. And
I'm surprised that hasn't had a remake yet.
Right? Yeah. You're absolutely right, man. Hollywood guy, thank you so much for the super chat and the support. We really appreciate it. Kill, let's go back in time. Let's do what we gotta do. You know who's gonna keep us going. Here he is. There he is.
For the moan and the miserable groan from the pain that you felt when I was born.
Yeah. All right, man. Thank you so much, Hollywood guy. Hollywood guy is literally keeping us afloat tonight. Thank you so much. I agree, Kelly. It's like comparing apples and oranges. Neil said, I've been watching a lot of reaction channels lately where they watch horror films for the first time, and Event Horizon simply fucks them up every time. There you go. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's a film. It is a film, no doubt about it. We got Lamar in the house. What's up? Saying hello. What's up? Hope you're doing well, man. Good to have you. Good to have you. Let's see who else. Troy saying, I'm totally glad my plan to get you both to say totally as often as possible has come to fruition. And you should have said has totally come to fruition. That was great, man. Thank you so much. All right. And Lamar, yeah, it's been a while. Hope you've been doing well. Thank you so much for being here. We definitely miss you as well. All right, Kill. Let's go to another little tidbit here. What could make Aliens better? We've talked about the fact that we think that this film is basically damn near perfect. What could have made it better, if anything at all?
Well, depending on the version of this movie you have, and I know I can speak for you on this as well, Knight. Mm-hmm. Both me and Knight have various versions of this film, special editions, collector's editions, director's cuts. Yeah, it's too many. I would have liked to see even more Hadley's Hope. Now, if you have like the special editions, you see some more stuff with like Newt and her brother and their parents and kind of how that happened. Mm-hmm. I now granted, this probably would have messed with the pacing. It definitely messed with the pacing. Right. But if they had kind of, I don't know, showed some more kind of imagery of, well, was this queen just on this planet? Yeah. While they, brought the atmosphere processors in and started building the colony. And then, especially if you watch like, Romulus, or if you're watching Alien Earth, we know the eggs just sit and wait. Yes. So they feel some heat. Oh, wait, this is a life form, whether it's an animal or a human. Mm-hmm. I can attach to this. If you're a synthetic, it's not going to move. You're a robot, it's not going to move. So, maybe some sort of imagery of the nest just there, and maybe some of the Hadley's Hopes, miners, the ones that I guess are the first ones that get cocooned, or attacked, and then the queen is like, oh, there's biomass here now. Go forth and multiply. I don't know. But I know if they did more of that, it would have messed with the pacing, because we're still following the Marines at this point. We're getting to know them, and as little as we are with the Marines, we know so much about them because it's so much personality in their armor, how they talk, the banter, who they're buddy with. Mm-hmm. It's just. It's just so much there that could have would have been taken away if they did more stuff with Hadley's Hope. But
Good point. Good point. Real quick, Danielle's like, you two are bobbing your heads like you're on Wayne's World.
totally.
It's Mr. T, man. You know what it's all about. And look who's in the chat. Coriander's in the chat saying, treat your mother right, mofo.
That's right.
There you go. Oh my God. Too funny. Too funny. Lamar said, thanks, babe. Lamar saying, I feel so different. I remember when you first started, my favorite show was when we did Kingdom of the Spiders. That was so long ago, man. That was a great discussion. Yeah, we've been rocking and rolling, man. We've been rocking and rolling. Saying, I started all over living in my car this summer, but just moved into our new house. The boys said hi. I'm so happy, man. Seriously, definitely send our love and highs to the fam. Glad that you guys have a new house, and that is awesome. Very, very cool. Much love, man. Much love. You know what else gets love, Kill? Hollywood Guy is getting all the love tonight because Hollywood Guy is coming in once again. He's saying, look, man, I'm gonna throw in another super chat. And he says, Event Horizon Movie Watch. Hey, you never know. You know, maybe I'll put a poll in Patreon. You know, if people want to watch it, you know, we could do that. We could do it, and I can play it for you guys. You guys won't even have to rent it or worry about, you know, setting it up at your house. So, one of the perks that we have for Patreon. Definitely check out the Patreon if you haven't, guys. It's a way to really help support us. Behind the scenes, you know, a lot of stuff that we can't do on YouTube, like actually playing a movie on camera. We can do that through Patreon. And again, it just helps us to be able to, you know, put all the time and effort that we put into the stuff we do, taking away from life. So thank you so much. We appreciate that, Hollywood Guy. And we appreciate you just doing that multiple times tonight. That's really cool. It really is. Okay. Let's see. You know what else is cool, Kill?
Yeah.
Kelly is coming in with a super chat. Now we got it going. Saying no one loves their mama more than Mr. T. WWE fans know. 45 minutes worth of saying so it seemed like. There you go. Kelly, thank you so much. We appreciate that. Thank you. And also for making us laugh. We appreciate that as well. All right, so Kill, you know, sometimes you got to know how to move in life. You got to be making moves. You know, you got to keep your head on the swivel, look out for the ref. And here's a guy that could do it really well because he is that smooth.
This. Like this. Swing your hips. Swing your hips. Fire! Swing your hips.
There it is, man. And see that, and so
classics.
It is. Oh my God. Oh man. All right. Thank you so much, Kelly. We appreciate that. Seriously, it's very kind, and you know, we really appreciate that generosity. It helps us out a lot. Let's see, what else do we have here, Kill? What's your favorite scene in Aliens? And then maybe let's take it to Halloween as well. Favorite scene in Aliens and favorite scene in Halloween. If you could only pick one.
You know, this might be a cheat, but it's the Marines prepping for the orbit drop, because you got that drum music, that you know, and you're seeing like they're locking and loading weapons, they're strapping stuff down,
right?
You know, the commander's like, all right, let's lock them in, folks. Let's get them, let's go.
Get on the ready line.
Combat meeting, lock it down, Spunkmeyer. You know, it's like, oh man,
all right, sweethearts.
I want to join. I want
right?
to get a seat. You know, I don't know. It's just it's so cool, and it's like, but you know what's gonna happen, and it's like, oh, you know, like, but that's the hallmark of a really great. See, look at my girl right there. Look at look. Hey, she's badass, at least until the Terminator gets her. You know,
right?
If you know, you know.
If you know, you know. If you know, you know.
I mean, you just had such a great amount of talent with these, character actors, and then you put Sigourney in there, and it's just, man, just watching them work. You can feel chemistry.
Yes.
When I watch Predator, I feel the chemistry of the guys on that chopper. When I watch this, I feel the chemistry of these Marines. They have seen some shit. They rag on each other. They steal each other's cornbread. They joke with each other. And for me, my favorite scene is just seeing them get ready to kick some ass and take some names. And it's just badass. And shouts out to Halo and Call of Duty and comic books, Marvel movies, and pop culture. You've all taken a piece.
Yes.
You're welcome.
And that, you know what? That might have been the best part of that statement. It was a great statement overall. But you're absolutely right. So many films have been inspired specifically from aliens.
Even Avatar. I mean, it's all James Cameron, but Avatar, there's some stuff in there. I'm like,
you can see it.
Like, okay, James, I see you, but hey, it's all yours. So
when those mechs come out, I'm like, all right,
those mechs and the ships, like those drop ships. I'm like, okay, I see you. I see you.
All right, so I'm gonna give my favorite scene, and to me, I think it's got to be when Ripley faces off against the Queen. I just think it's so epic. The courage it took. She did not blink. She is like, I'm going to get this little girl, save her from the scariest monster ever in the creation of ever. She didn't even blink. That's right there. You know what I'm saying? And, I'm not going to get into conversations about how, there's a lot of discourse on social media and entertainment about some films that try to really push certain things and do it in a way that's not genuine. This is genuine. But the reason it's genuine is because of the story. The story crafted that. The fact that she lost her child because she was in cryostasis for 57 years. The fact that she's going back into the heart of darkness that scared the shit out of her in the previous film. And she finds this little girl that is without anybody. And she sees in her own child. This is all built up. You know what I'm saying? Even though it's a sequel, James Cameron was smart enough to still craft an arc and a story to really flesh out what makes her a badass. And you believe it. You believe it because Sigourney Weaver is just amazing in the role.
Yeah.
So,
and I mean, it doesn't hurt that, another woman defeated a queen, decades before her,
Yep. Absolutely, man.
With the help of a predator.
Yeah, right.
And a xenomorph head shield.
Head shield.
And
Shout out to Sinai. Shout out to Sinai. If you know, you
guys know.
If you were around, and I know Eric and Neil was back in the day when we went through the Predator movies, we had a blast with that. It's still on the channel. It's old, but still some fun stuff. Let me also just say this too. Shout out to Eric. I mean, you guys know Eric. Eric is always with us. He's family. And we love him. Eric is that guy, and there are other people too, but I just want to give a shout out to our good friend Eric. Eric is that guy every once in a while, and not every once in a while, but quite often, he will leave a comment on a video or stream that we did 5 years ago. And I'm like, bro, I know you went through the channel to get to that one. We've got like 1,200 videos on this channel. So to get to one that was like 5 years ago is absolutely like, wow, he was scrolling, baby. So thank you for doing that, Eric. We appreciate that. It's cool to know that, the stuff that we've done, we've had great fun, great conversation with so many people, including Eric, and great audiences and stuff. But it's great to know that stuff still has some life out there, so.
Definitely.
And you're absolutely right, Russell. If you haven't subscribed to Eric, make sure you do it. The link has been in so many of our streams and content. It's absolutely crazy because, like I said, he's family. All right. Favorite scene from Halloween.
Wow. I guess I'm just gonna have to, I don't know if this is a cop out, but just the final house. Yep, there you go. Yep, like essentially that final confrontation where He's almost got Jamie Lee. Jamie Lee thinks it's all good. She sits down, tries to catch her breath. Turn around, Jamie Lee. He's getting up, and he moves like a ninja.
Yeah.
This is the guy that does like, arm stands coming down from ceilings.
Yeah, baby.
He'll do that later in his life.
Yeah.
But that sequence, leading, ultimately towards the end.
Yeah.
It's just heart pounding, and I always am afraid for young Jamie. It's like, oh, get out of there. Is she going to make it? No,
Right.
She made it. Okay, good.
Right. For me, I think there's a lot of favorite moments, but I absolutely love right at this point, because at this point you really didn't know exactly what to expect.
Yeah.
She thought she killed him, but he isn't dead, and he's coming out of darkness, bro. How cool was that shit? I mean, the camera work, and Dean Cundey talked about it, how they had to light it a certain way so the mask could catch it. I mean, that was just cool stuff. And she turns around just at that split second, goes over the banister, dun, 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 dun. And it's like, dude, you're so scared. She's injured. She's basically alone. She put her life on the line for these little kids, which again, another reason why you can consider her a heroine, badass, built in the story. She wasn't doing 1,000 flips over Michael and doing stuff that is totally unreasonable. She came in to save them, those children. Mm-hmm. That's heroic. That's a badass. But from that scene, right on, I'm totally strapped in, man. It's absolutely amazing shit. It really, really is. So I would say that's my favorite. That's my favorite. Kill, as we start to wind down here, and you guys in the chat, we really appreciate you guys being here for this stream, which is a bit different. We want to try to do this on Tuesday nights. So we hope that you guys can join us and so forth. Kill, let's real quick, we've been talking about great stuff. Let's kind of segue a little bit to, both of these franchises, but let's start with Alien Earth without giving away any spoilers whatsoever, because I haven't caught up yet. Any general thoughts? Should people be watching this, and why?
Yes, they should. And my reasoning for that is, if you're a fan of the Alien franchise, the same way as if you're a fan of the Predator franchise, this is a great time to be a fan of both of those franchises.
Yes.
And when you can do a television show and get the feeling and get the vibe, and I believe it's 8 episodes. That's the whole mini series or season 1, whatever, hopefully. Essentially, that's an 8-hour Alien film.
Hey.
And it adds so much more depth to the world, depth to these organizations, these conglomerates, these corporations that rule the earth.
Yep.
And their reasoning for why they want the xenomorph, or why they want this, or so forth. And it does so many familiar things, but then it twists certain things totally on its totally on its head, where you're like, oh, I did not expect that. That was pretty cool. And they also just, this isn't a spoiler, they give you like certain scenes like, oh, this looks like a scene from the first Alien movie. I'm following a crew. They're waking up from cryopods. That's cool. All right. The aesthetics look like, that old, kind of retro technology look. Yeah. The computers with the green screen and the old school kind of ivory keyboards, and just, I don't know. It's so well done that it's amazing that it took this long to get something like this.
Right. Right.
But honestly, we wouldn't have this without the kind of renaissance of, what Prey did.
Yes.
And hopefully the Predator Badlands, or what Romulus did. We wouldn't have this. And I'm just so happy to be around to see these franchises kind of finally get their day.
Right?
So
It's been years. It's been,
Yeah.
bro. I mean, don't get me wrong. And, this is a story for another day. You guys in chat, always let us know what you think. Please leave comments as well, guys. That helps with engagement and helps get this out to new people. I was going to say, Prometheus had its followers, and we both love Prometheus.
Yeah.
Covenant took a sidestep, and that's a whole nother story. But it's been years for Alien as a franchise to really hit. And so when Romulus came out, it was like, okay, we can actually have a good Alien film again. And we didn't need to have Sigourney Weaver in it. As much as we love her, we were not shackled to her. It's the same thing with Halloween. They have to be able to show, like they've done in the past on a couple of occasions, that they can get away without Laurie Strode. You know what I'm saying? So it'll be interesting to see how that goes, but it's great to see Alien back. It's great to see Predator back. I'm really excited about Badlands. Who would have thought, man? Who would have thought? As we ended on Halloween, I mean, obviously Halloween, we're waiting to see what's going to happen. There's been talk about, a streaming show a la Crystal Lake. The game has had a lot of heat and people talking about it, which is cool. I'm kind of holding, my judgment for a little bit. But I'm always excited to see Halloween stuff. But as far as a theatrical film, I've said this time and time again, we're heading to 2028. And you know what 2028 is? That's 50 years, from the original. So, in my opinion, and I'm just a fan, what do I know? Malik and the crew have got to be thinking about the next step theatrically. Now, again, the streaming show, okay, we can do that, whatever, but theatrical, baby. And to me, it's a no-brainer, just like they did with H2O, 20 years later, and also with 2018, 40 years later. Well, now, can you believe it? It's almost been 10 years since 2018, man. Son of a bitch.
It does not feel like it. That's crazy.
You remember when we saw it in the theater, man?
Oh, yeah.
That was awesome shit, man. When that music kicked on, say something! Ding, 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 ding. I was like, it gets me almost choked up talking about it, bro. Seriously, this movie, it just means a lot to me as a horror fan. So anyways, hopefully theatrical will happen for 2028 for the 50th anniversary. The only thing I want to say, and you can feel free to chime in if you want, Kill, or not, we're about to end it up, but they've got to come correct. They got to come correct.
Where do they go?
Hey, man, they do. There's two ways that they can do it. Two ways. Obviously, it's a whole. There either has to be a new timeline, because obviously Michael, we love James. I would have loved to see James in another movie or more, but he was an older Michael. We got to get back to the young Michael, a new story, and not focused on Laurie Strode. That's what I think it should happen. It's a new mythology within his greater mythology. You know what I'm saying? It's like a what if. What if instead of going after Laurie, there was someone else after he broke out of Smith's Grove? You know what I'm saying?
Silver Shamrock.
Oh, here we go. And Scott, you're right. If they don't get John Carpenter to do the score for the 50th anniversary, that's going to be the biggest mistake in the history of horror. I want Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross to do it. Yeah.
Hey, yeah.
There you go. Halloween 14, A New Beginning. Yeah, there we go. It's time to get Roy back in the game. Get old Roy. He knew. So anyways, that's what I'm thinking about for Halloween 50th anniversary. But anyways, guys, this has been a blast. We've had a lot of fun doing this, kind of as a new type of setup on Tuesday nights. So definitely let us know if you enjoyed the conversation, if you have any recommendations for topics. What I really would like to do, and I'm going to also put this out on social media, so you guys have the power. We always try to make you guys and as interactive as possible. But if you have any topics you'd like us to talk about with you live as a community, please leave it in the comments. I always read all the comments. I can't always answer all of them, but you know, I do read them. So definitely let us know if there's some movies you want us to talk about or any topics, and we'll try to see what we can do. And if you haven't hit the like button, please do. As always, that helps us out. And we will catch you guys next time for Damn Near Perfect. And as always, if you're watching this, if you're listening to this, you are the Night Watch. Peace.
Peace.